Hi guys, Nate here, and it's my expat lifestyle, and today I'm going to show you the expat lifestyle of Sir Roger. Let's go ahead and introduce you now.
Hello, I'm Roger, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Cosette.
Hi, I'm Cosette. Yeah, the wife of Roger.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate it. And today we're actually at your lovely palatial estate here in Malaybalay, Philippines. Really, really lovely place, and I appreciate you having me here today. Roger, can you tell my audience just a brief synopsis of who you are, where you're from, and
Yes, I'm Australian. I'm originally from Tasmania, Australia, which is the island that sits below the mainland of Australia, and it's a cool climate area. It has 4 seasons, and it's a very clean and attractive and very low population area, very much unlike the Philippines. But fortunately, Mindanao offers similarities to Tasmania. We've got the mountains and we've got this lovely cool temperature in Malaybalay. And although I miss the 4 seasons, I find the temperature here and the range, 19 degrees to 28, 29, is very pleasant. I've acclimatized myself quite well. So coming here has not been a big shock for weather, although I do prefer the cooler climate, but I feel very comfortable here. And I like the people that I've met here. I come from Tasmania. They're very friendly people, and the people in Malaybalay are also friendly.
Cosette, can you tell my audience where you're from and what brings you here to Malaybalay?
I'm actually from Tagum City, Davao, which is, this is another region. Anyway, I came here because of work. So I'm working here as a doctor. And I've been here in Malaybalay for 22 years now.
I don't know the official term for it. When anybody asks me, I just tell them you're a vagina doctor.
That's technically correct.
Technically right. What's the title of the kind of doctor you are?
Yeah, I'm an obstetrician gynecologist.
Yeah. Obstetrician gynecologist.
Yeah, so basically women. I only deal with women.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And the reproductive, yeah. Not the pediatrician is different because it deals with the children, of course. So mine is, they are women, grown-up women.
The way how I understand it is
Yeah.
obstetrician. You deliver the baby and then you handball it to a
A
pediatrician.
pediatrician, yeah, correct.
And also, as in your role, you also do an awful lot of surgery. So you're performing cesareans
section and either
and a lot of procedures.
procedures, yeah.
Yeah.
So excellent. So that kind of brought you into the region with your profession. They needed your profession here, so there was kind of an opening for you here. Excellent.
Yeah.
I will note, I did notice there were a bunch of hospitals here in Malaybalay. How many hospitals in total, do you know?
We have 5 hospitals, 6 already, 5 hospitals.
So quite the thriving
Yeah.
medical industry here.
And you work primarily at the provincial hospital, and then you have visiting rights at a couple of the...
Yeah, I'm a OB/GYN consultant in Bukidnon Provincial Medical Center, which is the biggest public hospital here in Malaybalay, in Bukidnon.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'm a visiting doctor consultant in private hospitals here, like Malaybalay Medical Hospital Care and St. Jude Thaddeus General Hospital.
So when you say providential and private, does providential mean like public?
Public, provincial, yeah. It's a public hospital.
And then private is like for-profit hospital?
With the private owners, owned
okay.
Hospitals, yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. How did you two meet?
Well, it was a great chance. In many ways, we should never have really married. I take that back. We should always have got married, but it's by chance that we met because Cosette did medicine with my sister-in-law, Melanie, and she met my brother in Melbourne, Australia. And so Melanie came back to the Philippines to a university reunion, and Cosette was
in
there.
medicine, yeah.
And so they were talking. Melanie and Cosette were talking, and Melanie said to Cosette, "Well, do you mind if I put you in contact with someone?" And little did Cosette know that someone was me.
Yeah.
And she was very surprised when I did make contact with her. And my brother came back to me and said, "You have to contact Cosette." I said, "What? Why? Philippines is not even on my radar. Why would I want to be talking to someone in the Philippines?" He said, "Well, she's a fantastic lady. I've met her personally. This is my brother Gilbert. I have 4 brothers." And so he was very persistent about that. And I said, "Look, just tell me a little bit about her." And so he said, "Oh, she's very attractive and she's very intelligent." And I said, "Well, clearly she's not going to be interested in me." And he said, "Just contact her." So I did, and then Cosette proceeded to ignore me for 3 weeks. So she did respond, and then we started talking, and now we're both here, and I feel very much blessed that she did start talking, and we grew to know each other very well. And then I had a break in my work schedule well before COVID, and I said, "Look, let's catch up sometime." And she said, "Well, I'm going to be in Manila for a conference." I said, "Great." I dropped by Manila and say hello. And so that's when we saw each other.
Miss Cosette, are you going to respond to this allegation that you ignored
everything.
Roger for
True.
3 weeks? What made you not want to respond right away?
Because I was thinking, oh, what will I do with this? I'm not really interested because I'm a kind of woman who is, I have a advanced, thinking. Like if somebody will court me, example, somebody's interested in me, I would always think in advance, is he a good husband material? Like that. Yeah. That's how advanced my thinking was, or is even now. So that's why I said, I'm not going to marry a Westerner. What will I do with this? But I'm contented living here in the Philippines in my, humble home here. So I said, so that made really, stirred in my mind. And then, but eventually I said, because I have high respect also to Melanie. I said, "Oh my goodness, maybe my friend would say, oh, you were such a snobbish woman. You didn't even reply to my brother-in-law." But then and then you said to me, "Okay, if you're not interested, then don't bother.
I won't harass you. I won't bother you.
Yeah,
we'll say hello and we'll say goodbye, and that's fine. I'm not offended and I'm not hurt." So
I was touched by that. I said, oh my goodness, I have to make up with him. So I said, maybe we can just be friends. But then when he started talking to me, texting me, he never, from day one until we got married, he was always consistent of what he is very caring. Every day he feeds me with things about Australia, about Tasmania, about his work, and kept introducing his friends to me. Video call me, and just think how many days after that, and then it was so quick, and then you video call me. Okay. And he seemed to be very, very authentic, very sincere to me. So. Okay.
How long did you guys talk on the internet before you guys met in person?
That was July, and then
5 months, maybe.
No, I think 4 months.
Yeah. I thought, look, if you're going to talk to someone on the video,
I think 4 months.
Either come and see them and see if they're real, and if it's got any legs. Otherwise, just don't do it. Yeah. And so I thought, I'm going to do this. One, I haven't been to this place. I'm going to come and have a look. I'm going to say hello to Cosette, and then I will know, yes, that she's a real person and that she's lovely, and then I will evaluate from there.
But one thing it worried me before. I said, okay, I like him, how he talks, how he, everything. He's so caring every day. It's like, telling me everything about his life. I said, oh, okay. He said, there's only one thing that I'm so worried about that time. I said, what if when I see him in person, he might have this body odor or whatever. So Filipino.
Fortunately, I don't
That's
stink.
the only thing that worries me. I said, but I said, but he's a journalist. I don't think he has this very, bad body odor if he's, or bad breath, because he's a journalist. I don't think so. Maybe he's fine.
And so when I first
Funny.
met her, I was sitting in this hotel, and she walked in. She had jeans on and a denim jacket, and she waved to me like that. And I thought, wow, why is that young woman, that teenager, waving to me? And I was looking behind me. That's me. Oh, that's Cosette. She looks so young. She looked like a teenager.
That was 2018. 2018. So
So 2018, when you guys had first met.
6 years ago.
How long have you guys been married?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. So there was like a dating period. How did the dating period go? Like you guys would meet here in the Philippines,
Yeah.
or you would meet in Tasmania, Australia?
No, in the Philippines.
So
In the
every
Philippines.
time you would come out here?
Yes. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
Every shut down.
But you've
So-
been here for three times already in 2018 before COVID came.
Yeah, 2018, 19.
Well, 3 times.
19,
Like week-long
3 times.
trips,
Yes.
1 month,
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks at a time, 3 times.
Yeah, and then when COVID happened, we didn't know whether we still had a relationship. You don't know how that affects things, and so we agreed to meet again to see where we're at, and we realised that we do have something that we can celebrate together,
And that's when things kind of got concrete.
and that's when it started moving a little bit more. Yeah, and it moved pretty rapidly because we're in a Catholic country, and for people at our age, it's more acceptable to be married, particularly for Cosette's family circle and for her professional circle. So I'm happy with that. I'm now a converted Catholic, and I'm happy with that. We're very lucky being here because we attend the Abbey, which is just not far from here. It's only a 5-minute drive. Mass is done in English, and leading up for me to become a Catholic, I attended many courses with Father Paco. He was a brilliant man. I mean, I just loved talking to him. He very philosophical, very great on theology. His mind for thinking about things is so beyond what I would expect from a lot of priests, and it was just a very enjoyable conversation all the time. So I found that very engaging, and I learnt a lot. I really learnt a lot about the Catholic denomination and about myself as well, and how I needed to work on myself to be a better person. So I found it a great process.
What does your family think? Because you have children, correct?
Yes,
You both have
I've
children?
I've got a daughter and son, and so does she has a daughter
Been
and son.
single for.
So between your family, as far as brothers, sisters, children, what did they think about you coming out here to the Philippines to find love?
They probably thought, oh, well, you just go there and it'd be just a passing phase. I don't really know what they thought. They were very supportive. My family were very supportive. My kids were supportive. Both Nick and Emily were, and all they want is for your happiness, which is what everyone wants for another member of a family. And I originally thought I could spend more time in the Philippines and in Australia, and I didn't really have great intentions of coming to the Philippines to live, but it was much easier for me to come here than for Cosette to go to Australia, because she's very much involved in the community. She does an enormous amount of work with women's health here. And Cosette can tell you about some of the other programs that she works with, dealing with women and children here. And she's very, very busy women's health specialist. So it made sense for me to come here. And through Cosette, I've met a lot of people. I met some fantastic people all very welcoming, very friendly, very smart. A lot of them are very highly educated. A lot of them are very well travelled too. So it's suited me to be here, and we live here. We live a very comfortable life.
Exactly. So your family, you're not really sure, they kind of just let you run with it,
Yeah.
or they thought it would be a passing phase?
Well, certainly my son and daughter miss not having me in Australia. But equally, we're only, as I say, a flight away, and that's 2 movies and dinner and lunch, and you're back in Australia. And really, it's not that far.
Yeah.
So
Pretty drastically different than America.
Yeah.
it's very
it's
drastic to
always-
being in Europe or United
yeah,
States.
correct.
And so for me, it was okay. And then I can drop back to Australia if I needed to be. And they can come here. And it's been fairly busy for a lot of people to date to get here. And Philippines is really not on a lot of people's radar. They don't know the Philippines. They don't even know geographically where it is.
Yeah, well, especially for Australians. I mean, the Philippines and America have always had like a
Yeah.
very close connection and like a very, very like long-term bond.
Yes.
But from what I know from Australians, a lot of them don't seem to really know.
Yeah, they don't know where it sits in relation of China, of Japan, or they just can't mentally picture where it sits.
You're more
But they know it's there
Yeah, exactly.
because there's a big Filipino community in Australia. It's a very well accepted community, and a lot of people know about the country, but they only know a very limited knowledge of the country.
Yeah, that was your family as far as like their perceptions of you coming to the Philippines. Now you have children as well, and brothers, sisters. You have a family as well, obviously.
Yeah.
What did your family think about you talking with this foreigner and then having him come visit? What were their perceptions?
Actually, to be honest, they're divided. Well, yeah, like I think 2 of my brothers, they wonder, you have already 2 children. Why do you still have to go for, to remarry someone and it's a foreigner? Yeah.
What was the division?
But not really against no, at all. It's not really strongly against seeing another man in my life. It's just that this is like my one brother said, you already have 2 children, so why look for another man in your life, and they are already established, and and then they said, and then it's a foreigner. We are going to going to leave the country, go to his place. And I said, no, I cannot answer that. Let's see what will happen. I don't want to predict that. I said, well, if it happens, it happens. I feel like this is the right one for me. So, and I think so far I'm so happy. I can feel his sincerity, and I love him, and he loves me. So I said, okay. Then, but of course, later on, they see you as a person whom I really deserve to have in my life. Yeah,
I'm especially.
I'm so lucky.
I'm especially interested in your children's reaction because when my father passed away,
Yeah,
and my mother, she was single for a long time. She stayed single her whole life. But,
yeah,
after many years went by, these men would be hitting on her. And my immediate reaction, being her son, was like, stay away from my mom.
Yeah.
What are you doing, old man? Get away.
yes,
I'll
yes.
beat you up. And my sister had a lot of the same reactions too. Like, leave these men alone. Like, why are they talking to you? Like, we were very defensive of our mother dating.
yeah.
Did you get any of that from your children?
Well, I've been single for a single mother for 21 years before you came into my life. And actually, my son, he was all right with you because when you visited here, he was impressed how good he is. But my daughter is a little bit, maybe just like you, a little bit worried. Maybe she was thinking that my attention will be, divided and it'll be taken away from them. But because I have a good relationship with my children, and I made them understand like that. And they're all already grown-ups, They're just, how old was during that time?
They'd be
They
in
were
their late
already
20s.
in college already. And the other one is already professional. So it made a difference.
So all your kids.
And
are
that's also
grown
the
up.
same reason that when they were so young, I didn't really think of looking for someone to, a man to remarry. That when they were still young, because I feel that it was not really the right time to, to have this to expose these children. But since they're already grown up, so yeah.
They're grown up. They can
Yeah,
handle
yeah,
it.
yeah. They
Probably better than
understand.
I
Yeah,
did as a
yeah.
grown up. with
And
my
they
mommy.
also, yeah, and I also asked them. I said, "Is it really all right with you that your Tito Roger, because that's how they call him?" I said, "Is he really, it's all right with you that I marry this guy like that and be part of our life?" And then they said, since they know him and they like his, his personality, the way he treats me, everything. So I said, "Yeah, that's okay, Mom. We will be worried if you marry someone who is, young and very,
Robbing the cradle.
but this is, you look like really a father to them also. Like, I mean, he has a, how do you call that? Like, they can feel your paternal
Paternal instincts.
instinct,
I guess,
in him. So that's why they said, "Oh, we just love him to be our tito, part of the family." And so far, until now, they really love him.
Until now.
Yeah, yeah.
Until
I mean,
everything's
until now,
Wait till tomorrow.
Once I see the interview.
Then tomorrow comes.
they love you more and more every day. Yeah.
And my son came over here in January this year, and he had never met Cosette's two before, and they got on like a house on fire. They just got on fabulously.
How would you describe the differences in community between Tasmania and Australia compared to here in the Philippines?
Well, Tasmania does have a strong community link. It's a very community-based state and people, but we don't have the religious connection like they have here. Most of my friends are about my age. If they're divorced or they're in another relationship, they are not remarried. They just live in a de facto relationship with that person. While here, it's a little bit more problematic to be in a de facto relationship, and in this case, I actually originally told Cassette I wasn't getting married again. I got married once and that was it. I didn't want to go through that process again. But I could see that it was very important to her, and also it was very important for me to be Catholic. And I took that as an opportunity, as a learning for me to go through that process. And I'm very pleased that I did. And I'm also very pleased that we did get married as well, because she's a fantastic person. And I soon realised that I did not want such a quality woman to just slip through my fingers.
Have you ever had any calls or any kind of like your girlfriends or any kind of friends or family say, "Oh, Roger's up to this, Roger's up to that"? Have you ever experienced any of that?
No, because but I've already educated you on this. I said to him, because I've been in Australia and he has lots of female friends there. They go for coffee, and alone with you go alone with them. So I said to him, it's different here in the Philippines. I said, you should not go invite one of my female friends and then you just go there alone, and two of you to have coffee or have dinner or what. I said, oh, it's not, I'll be jealous. And also one thing, people will talk about, oh, Roger is with another woman there. So what happened to, maybe their marriage is, in a rocky marriage. So it's not good to see. If you're a married man, refrain from, going out with another woman, even if it's just a friend. If you go there with, you have something to talk about with this person, a female, then you have to bring your wife with you. So there's no, they will misinterpret that.
Maybe
It's not
because
good.
my parents were much older when they had me, but I come from like a similar, very traditional thinking with that. to where I've had friends that I worked with to say, hey, well, I'm on deployment, hang out with my wife. And I say, oh, well, I'll hang out with her in public, but I'm not going to your house. And some of the younger guys they had their mind blown by this. Like, why wouldn't you go to my house and check up on my wife? I said, well, it's a perception thing. It doesn't matter if I'm a good person, I know nothing will happen. It's the perception that other people might have with that happening. When you say don't go out with a woman if you have a significant other, is it okay to invite out like groups of people? Like say you're at work, right? And Roger wants to go hang out with, we won't even say her sister because family's always different, right?
Yeah.
2 different women that are his friends. Can he go hang out with 2 women at once? Or is that like, if it's 2 women and a man, how does that play out dynamically?
Well, I might be.
Your preference would be that you would be there as well.
Yeah. I think also because I'm a little bit. I mean, maybe I'm jealous type also. So as much as possible, I don't like you to be with hanging out with women without me having me around.
Yeah. But the boys are fine, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure of him as super male. Anyway, yeah.
And that is a challenge. Like it's such a total different thinking here to what I'm used to back in Australia. Now, quite often you say to a female friend, "Oh, let's meet up for a beer at the pub."
Yeah.
Or let's have a coffee. And then no one even batters an eyelid. But as Cosette just said, there's a different layer to that. And a lot of foreigners who come here, I would suggest be aware of that.
Like for example, even if the woman is married, she's not single, and you want to meet up with her, and then so you meet up in a place, and then even her husband would not be happy about that.
I actually very much agree with that cultural aspect.
Yeah.
I think it's very good. And it's probably very good for the health of relationships as well. So you have, and that's kind of a very self-actualized of you to say that you know you're jealous. Would you say that?
But I think I'm jealous. But I think that's really the norm. You don't go to alone with
And Cosette never does the, what's that thing that the Filipinos are supposed to do where they don't talk and they go quiet? What's that called?
Sumpong.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tampo.
Tampo.
So sorry. Tampo. Yeah.
No, you never do that. You just,
Joke.
you state what you're thinking, what you're feeling about something, and then we talk about it. I go, well, yeah, okay, I understand your point. So
maybe because I'm older now and wiser now, I've learned from the past.
Oh, so you used to have a lot of tampo, but now not so
before when I was younger, I don't say that I am perfect from the, when I was young, I'm already like this. No, you learned from your, past life. So, so that's why you're very lucky. This is the newest version. The best version of
I agree.
still polishing.
Lucky in many, many ways.
I'm very blessed, and I'm always conscious of that.
So now you have visited Australia,
Yeah.
and you've been here for many years now in the Philippines. If you could do like a little compare and contrast of like something that maybe you found to be drastically different in visiting in each other's countries, what would be some examples of those?
Well, for me is how Filipinos, they will travel in a big group, and they're quite happy. They'll have a hotel room, and they'll be quite happy for 7 of them to be in there, or 4 of them to share a hotel room. And for Australians, we go, hang on, I'm not going on holidays. I'm not sharing my hotel room with anyone else. It's me. It's my hotel room that I pay for. I'm not sharing it with you. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. But there's the environmental issues which every foreigner would talk about. for me, the littering and so forth is something that I find very challenging. And I find some of the animal welfare is a bit of a challenge for me. Particularly, I get upset at seeing dogs in cages and barking because they're so clearly very bored. And that distresses me. And that's something that you have to learn to be, not get anxious about. You've got to lower your level of...
When you say animals in cages, can you expand on that? Because a lot of the people watching at home, they don't know what you're referring to, whereas us who live here do.
Well, you have people who will say that, oh, I love my dogs. And you go and see their place, and they got a cage about that big. And the dog is probably that big. So the dog is basically the size of the cage. It can barely turn around. It has to turn itself inside out to turn around. And it sits in there all day, all night. I went to a place and he had all these dogs in cages. I said, how many times do you let the dogs out? And I'm thinking in my head, once, 5 times a day, once a week. And I find situations like that very challenging. And I know a lot of other foreign. I love dogs. We have dogs here, and they roam around, and they're loved, and they well looked after, and they get bathed, and they get well fed. But not all dogs do. And you sometimes have to just switch your eyes back, because there's nothing you can do about it.
The animal welfare is one thing that you find kind of very drastically different in the littering, and then also the need for space, like personal space, especially in like living accommodations, which I can definitely relate as an American. You know, we like all around us, we want a giant bubble, more so than any other culture, I think, is we like our personal space.
But on the flip side, there's so many great things about the Philippines. I don't want to dwell on any negatives either. I want to be positive about it. And I find the Filipino people very joyous. They live in the moment. And they have so many things that they do that could teach us Western people. They can find a simple joy in the most easiest of way. And they are so ready for a laugh. They just love to laugh and find happiness in any situation, and it gives you joy to see it. And also the karaoke, like people singing and laughing, and they're not drunk. They're just singing and laughing because it's fun. That is such a great thing to have. It's really good, and I find that's really positive. And I wish that we would do that in our own countries.
The community aspect here is highly admirable,
for
sure. So, Miss Cosette, what are some kind of things that you've noticed are very much different in the two ways that maybe shocked you a little bit?
Yeah, when I went to Tasmania or Australia in general, they're very clean, very well presented, you know. And of course, obviously, not much people compared here. Here, when you walk, here you see so many people. Like you go to the mall, so many, you know.
And also the demographics.
And
Because that's a big thing that we notice here. There's so many young people walking around.
Yeah.
You go to Tasmania, our demographics is much higher, older.
So many old.
And you don't see all the young people walking around like you do in Malay.
Yeah, I only saw those young people when we attended this rugby game in
in Brisbane.
In Brisbane,
Yeah.
I said, so here are the young ones. and I really admire the place. It's very very clean. As I've said, well presented. The well arranged. There are so many houses, of course, because you are in a first world country. That's why. That explains why.
But you thought that Tasmania was like a movie set.
Yeah.
It was all set up like a movie. But where was the people, you would say?
Yeah, it's the people, because I don't see any, you know, even when we drove from that far already from Launceston to up to your town, Smithton, I seldom see people walking or
and then
those people.
So are you saying Australia is pretty similar to America, where people don't hang out with each
Yeah,
other
I've
outside? They
never
hang
been in
out
America.
inside their homes
Yeah.
or
Oh,
inside
yeah,
their
yeah.
office buildings. Whereas like here, people are kind of just hanging out with each other
Yeah.
outdoors or at each other's houses. And so it's kind of similar to America in that way then.
Oh, okay.
Oh, interesting. I've never been to Australia, so I don't know.
And very fresh air. And when you sleep there, you can, you don't bother, you're not bothered by the noise outside your house, like these barking dogs.
We had a funny moment because in Tasmania we've got a lot of beef cattle, a lot of dairy cattle, and a lot of sheep. And so we'd be right driving past these fields, and Cosette would be going, "Look at those bushes over there, look, and that bush there, and this bush here." I said, "No, that's just sheep."
Because they're not moving, looking at them, munching.
Sheep.
They're not moving.
Because you don't really see many sheep in fields here.
Yeah, just goats.
Yeah,
goats.
it's not right.
Is there anything you missed about the Philippines being in Australia?
Yeah, I think it's still the people, of course, as I've said. That's how I understand. Now I understand why some of my friends have been married, example an Australian with an Australian, and then they came back here, and then I said the same question. I asked them. I said, "Why did you not stay there? It's a very nice place." And then both of them said, "I feel so lonely there." Because unlike here when you can talk, there's always people whom you can talk with. So because they're always there, you can see people all around. But there, as if everybody's busy and so that makes it. That's the only thing I think. But the rest, they're super nice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I find
Fresh air. Yeah,
here you
good
have to
food.
make a purposeful effort to feel lonely. Whereas when I was in America, you had to make a purposeful effort not to feel lonely.
Okay.
It's like this is complete opposite
Yeah,
with
yeah,
your
yeah.
interactions with people.
And the other thing too
Yeah.
is here is people are so polite. You go into a store and the attendant will say, "Sir," "Oh yes," and they're very attentive and very focused on you. And their service varies, and quite often that has a lot to do with training. But you cannot fault the Filipino friendliness and desire to make you feel comfortable and service what you're asking.
What would you say to guys who are coming out here? They're older guys. They're concerned about their health and safety when they come out here. How would you tell, or what would you have to say to them about the Philippines medical system that you know so well?
It's not as expensive as they expect it to be, and you have options. You can go if you don't have really much money. You can go to a public what's this hospital, or and you have your checkup there. It's either free, or if ever there's something to pay, it's very very bigger amount. But you also have the opportunity to see specialists right away, as long as you have the money to pay, which is really that expensive. So because I've learned from a friend in other like New Zealand, like Australia, they are first they have to see a general practitioner, and it will take time for them to see a specialist. Like it might take a month or more to see a specialist. No. But here in the Philippines, if you want to go directly to a specialist, you can. You just walk in, go to his clinic. Just know that his time schedule. That's it.
And you had mentioned the low price of seeing a specialist. From my personal experience, whether it be like a dermatologist, a urologist, a dentist, some of the more specialized services, they seem to run, depending on the city you're in, anywhere between like 300 and 700 pesos as being the very top to visit that specialist. Would you say that range is pretty accurate?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So kind of your speed of
300,
access is a
500.
lot quicker. Do you think the the quality of care is as high, maybe a little bit lower, or comparable to, say, the equivalent city in Australia or in America?
Well, it depends on what region you're in. Of course, like example, when you're in Malaybalay, you can have these specialists, but they might ask for you to have this diagnostic procedure, and unluckily, this machine is not available in Malaybalay, so they will refer you to a bigger city like Davao City, which is like how many kilometers away from here? It's a
5 hours drive.
4 hour drive like that, or CDO or Cagayan de Oro City, which is like a 2 hour drive like that. If it's not available, I mean that machine that will do this diagnostic procedure, that's it. But the rest, fine. Yeah, here in Malaybalay we have already what we don't have here is a cardiac surgeon. I mean.
Okay.
But we have a neurosurgeon, can operate the, brain and head. We have orthopedic surgeons. That only, I think cardiologist is what we are lacking here. I mean, not cardiologist, cardiac surgeon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're really just kind of lacking in this one specialty and then some of the equipment. So it is actually comparable to America because in rural America, if you say maybe go out to a place like the Ozarks or Montana, or it's one of more of the rural areas, even though you have the population number here that those areas don't have, it's very similar. They'll send you to a hospital for particular tests or particular specialties. Pretty comparable to rural America, yet you have a high population.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say to people about the medical field or medical industry in Malaybalay to foreigners?
Well, just like what, if you really stay long here in the Philippines, you can have your PhilHealth. You can get your PhilHealth insurance, like what my husband Roger did.
PhilHealth, what's that?
Yeah. So you get a PhilHealth insurance.
Well, it's basically the public health insurance. So if you go to a public hospital and there's charges for certain things, well, PhilHealth will bridge a certain amount of that cost.
Yeah.
So that reduces your cost again.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you pay 15,000 pesos a year for it. But it covers everything, so it's worthwhile to have. And I haven't used it as yet. I'm being very lucky, but it's insurance.
Yeah.
I think the big difference where people get confused here is doctors are quite well trained, and as evidenced by the fact that Filipino doctors and nurses are working all over the world. But in the public hospital here, there's such a high demand. There's so many more people going in there seeking attention, that their medical staff's time is being divided. And so therefore people perceive that as being not giving the same sort of care, when in actual fact it is. And the medical staff and nurses here work extremely hard.
Yeah.
And they're extremely dedicated. And I get upset on behalf of the Filipino medical people when I see and read about and hear about people criticising the medical system here, because these people have trained a lot. They are well trained. Like, how many years have you spent at university? 10? 10 years at university?
8 years medicine.
And then your postgraduate work on top of that.
2 years, so 10 years to be a doctor.
Your heart is in your job. You are so dedicated. And she gives her all, but because of demand, it seems like, they don't know what they're doing.
But there's a value. So there's value concepts. So you have what you spend to what you receive.
Yeah.
And as far as value goes, you look at a place like America, you have very long wait times. You'll have many times the doctors are in the same situation where they're overworked and they're just they're doing their best, but they have maybe 20 minutes where they see each patient. And if they go over 20 minutes, then their whole day is ruined. And a lot of times even though they have an appointment with you, you'll wait in the waiting room for hours. Whereas I find here in the Philippines and throughout Southeast Asia, honestly, you're seen almost immediately. There's like hardly ever a wait. If you wait, you maybe wait an hour tops. And then when you look at the price point of these services compared to what you pay in the U.S., it's a no-brainer that it's awesome value here, period, for sure. I would agree with that. So, Roger, how old are you?
62.
62, and you don't look a day over 40.
I thought you were going to say I don't look a day over 65.
So you're right at what Americans consider like the retirement age.
Yeah.
And you moved out here completely. You've started a life for yourself. You've got a beautiful home. You've got a beautiful wife. You've got a beautiful life you've set up for yourself here. If you had to give advice to expats who want to have your lifestyle here, what advice would you give them?
To seriously, it all depends on what their motivations are. And I would ask them to seriously look at what their motivations are. So I speak to, and I know quite a few men my age, or in this 10-year gap period, who are coming out here and they see a lot of women and they go for the really lower down, younger women. So it could be a 40-year age bracket. The message I'm giving to expat men about my age is there are so many beautifully high quality, highly qualified Filipino women who are looking for a good man so they can share love with them. And I would suggest to a lot of foreigners, don't discard that. Just because you might see, oh, this woman's 58 or 55, don't discount that, because they're beautiful women. Like Cosette she looks as if she's only 22, but she's not 22.
You're so kind.
And she's a beautiful woman, and there's many like her, but there's only one Cosette in the whole Philippines. She's the most beautiful woman in the Philippines.
Right. Okay.
So that is my advice to foreigners coming here. Set your sights a little bit higher, because there's many women here who are just looking for someone that is decent and honest, and that they just want to share their love with them.
I'd say that's wonderful advice, and probably a lot of advice that a lot of guys need but never hear.
Right.
Roger, you actually have a Facebook site, and you're a former journalist. We didn't even talk about that, but
That's another time.
that's another topic for another day. But you actually have a Facebook page. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I started a Facebook page called Roger That, and primarily I did that was just to help promote local businesses in Malay and also Bukidnon. Because I know how, and also in my past life, I used to run small business. So I understand how difficult it is to run a business. And so I thought, well, I could offer my skills in to help some of these smaller businesses market and get word out there a little bit more. And also, if for foreigners who are coming here and they want to know a little bit more about Bukidnon, they want to know about Malay, and they want to know, some issues about living in the Philippines, well, that's an avenue in which they can do that. So primarily, I set up Roger That just to help small business and to help foreigners come here, because I am a great believer in random acts of kindness. And so people that come here, if we can all have a collegial approach to things, all help each other, we can have a better life for everyone.
I agree completely. Thank you so much, Roger Cosette, for joining me. If you get on Facebook and you type in Roger That into the search bar, you can find him, or you can look in the description below, and I'll put a link to his Facebook page there. I want to say thank you again for joining us, me and the audience.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure to talk with you, and hopefully we get to see you guys later down the path.
Pleasure is ours.